You're live.
Thank you for joining the Hartford Board of Education workshop. Today is October 7th, 2025. Our topic for today is the state of talent. Um, and I think we're going to just create some norms on how we're going to ask questions. I'll leave it to the presenter um, for a good spot where in your presentation that is a good spot to break um, so that board members um, can ask their questions, and I'll ask board members to raise your hand so I can recognize you to get your question off. So with that said, um, I am going to turn it over to Connie Nieves.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Um, uh, Board members, Dr. Townsell, it is my pleasure to be with you tonight to discuss the state of talent for our district today. Tonight we'll build our grounding in two areas of talent management. Um, before I dive deep into the presentation, what I'll do is pause at certain part for questions because it could be quite lengthy. So I'm going to break it up into two chunks. And so with me today, I have a few members of my team as well that, they can also provide some clarity and any follow-up questions that may come about. So with that, I'll share the presentation. Just give me one moment. Can everyone see? Okay, perfect. All right. So we'll get started. So as mentioned, we'll review some of our recruitment strategies and results of our 2025-2026 hiring season. We'll also lean into our development and performance management with respect of our exit trends. And during this portion of the presentation, we'll talk about our resignation rates, and our intent to return surveys, exit surveys, what they're saying, what they're informing the district, and then next steps for us moving forward. So we'll get started by discussing our recruitment strategies. Please note that while I'm sharing our recruitment strategies, this is also a retention strategy. We have successfully supported programs such as the Grow Your Own Relay program with 12 participants this year. 83% of those participants identify as people of color, and 60% of whom were paraeducators in the district. Please note the funding to support this program is supported by our Alliance grant. Additionally, we have placed 50 student teachers placed this fall through our partnerships with universities and their educator preparation programs. Notably, as part of our Buckley High School Public Service Pathway and Teacher Prep pipeline work, I'm excited to report that Buckley High School has 19 students taking the Education in a Multicultural Society course through CCSU that runs a full year. Lastly, our recruitment team has hosted or attended about 40 recruitment networking events. We have partnered with Relay Graduate School of Education since 2016 to provide a grow our own teaching certification pathway for non-certified staff. This part-time residency program allows current employees to earn Connecticut teaching certificates in high-need areas while maintaining their positions and benefits. Results demonstrate strong impact, a 71% completion rate, with 83% of graduates identifying as people of color. 22 completers are still teaching in Hartford Public Schools. Since 2022, we have provided partial scholarships for staff who would otherwise not be able to participate in the program, with recipients committing to 2 years of service. The 2025-2026 cohort includes 12 participants. 6 are enrolled in year 1, and 6 are returning participants completing requirements of year 2. This strategic investment creates sustainable pathways to recruit and retain diverse educators, addressing critical staffing needs while building a workforce that reflects our student community. The 83%, there was about 33% who identify as Hispanic, 33% identify as Black or African American, just to name a few. This fall, Hartford Public School has welcomed 50 student teachers in our schools, allowing for these future teachers to hone in their skills and gain experience while allowing our current teachers to flex their leadership skills. In turn, principals have the opportunity to recruit these student teachers to their schools. Hartford Public Schools has worked with TFA over the years to ensure recruitment of diverse candidates from the Connecticut area, especially in our hard-to-fill areas. Since 2007, we have hired over 300 TFA core members with an average of 3 years of service. Currently, Hartford Public Schools has 16 former TFA core members in the district. This year, with our new contract, we have 10 new TFA core members teaching in our district. We are excited to share that 4 of these new teachers were non-certified employees in the district prior to joining TFA. To highlight one in particular, one is a Hartford Public Schools graduate and Hartford Promise Scholar. Of this year's cohort, 60% of TFA teachers identify as people of color, 20% identify as Black or African American, 30% Hispanic, 10% American Indian, just to name a few. Areas of teaching, we have 3 special education teachers amongst the TFA teachers, 1 English, 5 elementary, and 1 biology. Anecdotally, about 70% plan to continue teaching beyond their 2-year commitment. As mentioned earlier, we either attended or hosted about 40 events this year. In addition to the educator-focused events, we have increased our presence at local events to cultivate candidates from the community. Many people are interested in joining the district in a capacity in which they could give back to their community. Many have also expressed interest in joining the district in a non-certified role so they can gain experience and utilize their benefits like tuition reimbursement to pursue certified roles in the district. Just over the last couple of weeks, we've hired a handful of substitute teachers and paraeducators from attending Hartford events, such as the Department of Labor hiring fair at Hartford Athletic, the City of Hartford Career Fair at City Hall, and the Hartford Public Library Career Fair at the main branch in downtown Hartford. Shifting gears with our marketing, I want to share our recruitment marketing strategy that is strengthening our ability to attract quality talent in a very competitive market for education talent. Starting with Indeed and Glassdoor, our partnership with Indeed and Glassdoor has strengthened both our recruitment capacity and employer brand visibility in Hartford's competitive. These platforms have generated over 726,000 brand impressions, and our national employer brand ranking has jumped from 988 to 70 out of more than 26,000 education employers since the partnership began earlier this year in March. We're also seeing an increase in visibility, specifically among our target audiences, including special education candidates we've been prioritizing. We've brought in 1,200 qualified applicants with a strong 17% application start rate. What's particularly effective is that when candidates interact with both our job postings and our employee brand content, that the application rate jumps to about 48%, more than double than what we've seen in using just job postings alone. So what this is telling us is that candidates are doing their homework. They're looking at our mission, they're looking at our branding, and which means we're attracting people who actually understand and connect with who we are as a district. Our employer rating has improved significantly as well. Indeed, specifically from 2.8 to 3.4. Glassdoor increased from 3.2 to 3.5 in less than 6 months. Our diversity and inclusion score specifically improved improved to 4.1, which is our highest rated category. These improvements matter because ratings directly influence whether candidates even consider applying. Beyond Indeed and Glassdoor, with the support of our internal communications team, we're leveraging social media strategically across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn to reach candidates when they're already spending time to showcase our district culture and employee stories in authentic ways. We're also casting a wide net through targeted marketing and advertising. Our Represent campaign helped us reach diverse talent pools in our local community. We've partnered with local universities and colleges using Handshake and their specific job boards to connect with emerging educators before they even graduate. We're also using education-specific job boards like CT Reap to reach candidates with the exact qualifications that we need, including specialized special education platforms. In a market where we're competing against other employees for talent, for education talent in the greater Hartford area, this multi-channel approach is helping us stand out and tell our story across multiple touch points to build a stronger talent pipeline with candidates who want to be part of Hartford Public Schools. As you can see on the chart on your screen, on the right-hand side, you'll see the list of certified teachers by position, our vacancies from 1 year ago, and our vacancies as of when we pulled this report, which I believe was last week. So we have fewer vacancies overall. I do want to highlight specifically special education. While we've had great success in keeping our vacancies low. Special education, this time last year, we had over 50 vacancies, and now we're a little bit under 20. Here's another view of our first day vacancies across multiple years. Again, you'll see that year to year, we've had challenges with filling a lot of our positions. This year, we've minimized the number of vacancies. To highlight a few hiring measures, we've hired over 50 special education paraeducators in the district, over 40 substitute teachers, 38 special education teachers, 19 elementary teachers, 6 math, 5 speech and language pathologists, and 5 bilingual teachers. And out of this, specifically for our teachers hired this season, 43% identify as people of color. The breakdown is on the slideshow. And 16% of our new teachers live in Hartford. To continue attracting candidates to fill our vacancies, the Office of Talent Management is providing sign-on incentives for the new year for 25-26. We've also been able to provide a $2,500 sign-on bonus for Hartford Public School graduates who are hired in the district as full-time teachers. As part of our efforts to engage our employees and support them in pursuit of higher education, we have also created memorandum of agreements with area and online universities to provide our staff with tuition discounts. Additionally, these discounts, along with the tuition reimbursement offered, provide our employees with opportunity to learn and grow. Our recruitment hiring success was also supported by our newly negotiated contracts. Just to name a few of the highlights for the teacher contract, the workday was reduced by 30 minutes. The leaves usage is a little bit more flexible now than it used to be. There's a 15.8 salary increase for the term of the contract. We also built in a retention and a retention attendance incentive for teachers who use 5 sick days or fewer to be cashed in at the conclusion of the following year. And as I mentioned prior, the Hartford Public Schools graduate bonus as well. As far as our success with paras in hiring special education paras specifically, the hiring qualifications changed. So the MOU requiring an associate's degree to be hired as a paraeducator has been withdrawn, allowing the board to, or allowing us to hire paraeducators with a high school diploma and a passing score of the para assessment. We also have a new wage and grid structure for salaries to address not only concerns with inequities of our current paraeducators, but under the new wage structure, new hires, their salaries are dictated by the number of years of experience that they have. Additionally, there's about a 12% salary increase for the lifetime of that term contract. And I think this is a good time to pause for questions. If there are.
I do want to first say that for us to have a meaningful discussion, that we're going to need the presentation a little bit earlier so we can review it, so this can be as effective for us as possible. With that said, Ms. Fortune.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Particularly with respect to I have a few questions, but I'll just start with this one. Thank you for the presentation, first of all. With respect to the paraprofessionals, I know last year with the MOU, we were hiring lots of people without having passed the parapro assessment, and the district was going to develop a way to support those individuals and ensure that they can get the support they need to ultimately take the parapro assessment and pass it within the 12-month timeframe. Can you tell me what the district has done to support those new hires, and how are you tracking their progress and their ability to pass this test so that we're not going to lose a lot of those folks in a few months?
Sure, I'll tag in either Nancy or Derek to this question.
I can start off. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
So yeah, the first thing that I would mention is the fact that we have established a reimbursement process for candidates to take the parapro. I know the $85 fee for the test was a big kind of barrier for us in the past. And so we are offering candidates reimbursement. So the first time they take it, it'll be covered by the district. So I think that's a really big win. And then we're also looking at, we're kind of working with the state right now and with ETS to establish a test center within our district. And I think long term, that's going to really support our folks that we have currently, but also grow candidates that we may have in the pipeline that are current students. So the idea is to have a testing site within the district so we can provide, you know, the help with the cost of taking the test, and then also hopefully in the near future have a testing site locally that we can kind of point people in that direction and get them to take it pretty easily.
And I just want to add to that, the state has, not the board of, the State Board of Ed has not yet approved, but the State Department of Ed has allowed ETS to roll out its new para pathway assessment which is a more comprehensive exam for educators to pass, and it's a two-part assessment. It was just released for candidates to take for free starting September 1st. But they haven't really provided any of the free study guides yet. Just had a webinar with the state and ETS last week. But some of the thinking that we have behind this, because it is going to be a more comprehensive assessment, is creating a curriculum, working with a couple of our teachers who we could hire to create a curriculum based on the exam, and then offer tutoring sessions, like a series of 5 over 10 weeks for our paraeducators to take, and so that way they can successfully pass the new assessment that is going to be taking the place of Parapro. So that's another thing that we have in the pipeline as well.
Thank you.
May I ask
Ms.
some follow-up
Wilson,
questions
is
to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say more comprehensive exam, my understanding of this is that means it's going to be a more challenging exam. Is that fair to say, or no?
Excuse me, from what has been shared with us with the webinar, we just received this information in the last 2 weeks. It's more flexible, but it has a more skills-based approach, and it's aligned to content in classroom in 8 different areas. So from what we haven't yet taken it, actually, Derek and I are going to take the exam just to see ourselves how it compares. But it does sound like it's going to be a bit more comprehensive. And so we do have that concern that the study guides that they are providing are not free at this time, or will not be free starting January 1st, which could be an impediment to people taking the exam. And so we're thinking of how we could possibly utilize some funds that we have currently set aside for possibly tuition reimbursement, and utilizing that to create a curriculum with a couple of our teachers who would be willing to take that on as a leadership role and tutor a cohort of our paraeducators.
So I guess I have, when does that new test, the new comprehensive exam, when does that become effective? When does it supersede the old one?
Where they don't know yet. They're thinking that the Parapro is going to sunset in August of 2026, but that has not yet been determined. The State Board of Ed is going to be considering the Para Pathway assessment for approval during one of its meetings up until December. So there's a lot of building the plane while flying it, seems like right now. And so we're just trying to get ahead of it, so that way we can provide as much information to our paras, because we want to get this out to them, because the new assessment is offered for free, which is a great opportunity for them, but also wanting to provide them with as much support so that they can be successful in taking the exam as well.
Okay, but well, I guess my comments to that are twofold. One, I thought that in addition, I mean, reimbursing somebody $85 for the test is helpful, but my understanding was that the hurdle was actually passing the test. So if all we're doing is reimbursing for the test, but people are failing the test, that doesn't actually help us with retention. I thought we were trying to find ways to actually support them with learning and practicing for the test. I understand that the courses were pricey. We couldn't pay for that, but we were trying to think of something sort of like what you said for this new version of the comprehensive exam, but we were supposed to do that for the old exam. And that never kind of took off. So that concerns me. And if we,
that's not, sorry, there are actually free study guides for the current Parapro. So we've been providing that. We've emailed them that information in the spring. We reached out to them to remind them that they are going to have to take this, within 1 year of their employment. And we're actually getting ready to follow up with the candidates again. So that way we can have a cadence of connecting with the paraeducators so that they can take the exam in a timely manner. But we're finding that we're bumping up against the deadline for some of these folks who haven't yet passed the exam. And so we're trying to move quickly with a new exam being unveiled in the last couple of weeks, while also trying to provide the support with that too, because that is going to become most likely the new exam that will be a certification that will be eligible for 10 years.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I would still like to see some support. Sorry, Madam Chair, may I just finish my comment quickly?
Yes.
I would still like to see not just handing off the packet to folks, but some follow through or maybe scheduling time when they can sit down and take practice exams, ascertain where they are, just to spend some time studying. And knowing that we're going to have a more comprehensive exam, I think this is an opportunity to really push. I mean, by August of next year, most of the people who founded the MOU will have met their 12-month mark. So they all should be taking this existing exam, not the new one. But I think certainly everyone who's been hired to date who still hasn't taken the test should aim to take it before August, when we know we potentially have an easier exam now. There's, another motivating factor, just take the easier exam now versus waiting until it changes. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. Before Miss Darestelle Ledger, you said an MOU. Can you state who that is with, and describe it a little bit, Ms. Nieves?
The MOU that changed the requirements for
Yes.
hiring. Okay, so of course, there has been a long-standing memorandum of agreement that under the paraeducator contract that required paraeducators to have a earned associate's degree. It's been implemented for as long as I've been working here, so about over 12 years. And so in this last negotiation for the contract, we agreed that we were going to withdraw that agreement that required the associate's degree, and provided that, I mean, you can still have an associate's degree and still get hired, but based on the State Department of Education guidelines, it also allows those candidates who have high school diplomas with a passing score of the para assessment to be hired as well. So that's the agreement.
Okay, so to clarify, the requirement for an associate's degree, is that us or the state?
So that was us.
Yeah, so because that has not been described to this board as such. It has been previously described as that was a state requirement, and we were trying to get out of it. So that's interesting information. And I just want to level set here with everyone that when we changed that, we lost enormous workforce of paras. Some valued folks in our communities that helped tremendously with behaviors just by their mere presence, because most of the paraprofessionals were from our community. So the cultural competency was there. It was understood. It was kind of unspoken in some classrooms. So that's very interesting. That's us and not the state, as we have been told in the past. But with that, I'll recognize Ms. Darestelle Ledger.
Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions with regards to the 83% that you referenced. And first of all, thank you for the presentation that you've been delivering thus far. So you were saying that the 83% identify as people of color. And so you further broke it down to say that, is it of that 83% that 33% identify as Hispanic and 33% identify as Black? Just for clarification.
This is for Relay, I think you were.
Yes, for Relay.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's true.
So exactly, can I have a number just to give me more clarity?
Sure. So of the current participants, we have 4 that are Hispanic, 4 that are Black, 2 are white, and 2 are Asian.
Okay. And this is out of 12, right?
Yes, and then of all demographics, we've had 16 Hispanic, 15 Black, 5 Asian, and 20 white, and that's from the total participants throughout the length of this partnership.
Okay, thank you. And the next question that I have is with regards to the partner pathways. What have you been recruiting or have you been looking at HBCUs at all?
I know Nancy can probably touch on this more, but we were recruiting heavily at HBCUs and connecting with students who are from Connecticut that consider Connecticut home, and went to HBCUs to encourage them to come back to Connecticut and teach them their home state and give back to their communities. But that requires a lot of funding for us to be going to those schools, and traveling. And so, with our recruitment budget being cut significantly in recent years, we have not been attending in person these HBCUs. We went to Howard, we went to Atlanta Clark, we went to Morehouse, Spelman. We were at those schools pretty heavily. The last time we went to Howard was actually last year. We found some money through the Alliance grant to send me there, and we made some connections. But that is what we did a lot in the past. We do a lot of virtual connecting with them now, through online platforms and virtual events and virtual information sessions, but we haven't had the funding in recent years. Since last year, in order to attend, as most HBCUs are not here in Connecticut. And Nancy, if there's anything else you want to add to that, but it has been a focus for some time.
Okay, thank you. And I'm waiting. Is Nancy going to say something or?
No, I was just going to say, Natalie, I think you said it succinctly, and I don't think I need to add anything else to that.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more question with regards to the para exam, that certification exam. So I just want to say that comprehensive does not necessarily mean, based on what it was explained to me, comprehensive does not necessarily mean that it's more difficult or more challenging. It just applies more to what's been done with regards to being hands-on in the classroom. Is that correct?
Not
Yeah.
quite sure yet because we haven't looked at it in depth, but the 8 areas that they went into in depth during the webinar, it seemed like it's more comprehensive, which gave us some concern for passing the new para pathway assessment. But Derek, if you want to share your thoughts, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yep. So I was on the last webinar with ETS, and I think there was some caution or hesitation around saying which exam or which test is necessarily harder. I think with the new iteration, the idea is to have more real life classroom scenarios. So I think in some instances that may be a little bit easier, I would imagine, for some folks. I think the other thing to call out with the new para pathways is I think holistically it should be hopefully easier to pass because it will be broken out into 2 separate sections. So if I take the comprehensive, the reading, writing, and math, and I pass one and not the other, I don't have to take the entire exam again. I can just retake the section that I didn't pass. So we are losing that risk of having people, pass the reading and writing and then failing it again at a later date when they take the comprehensive test. I think this will open up an opportunity for folks to really hone in on where they're struggling and have an easier time passing it as a whole.
That's good to know. And one more question with regards to the practice test, if you will, or practice manual, if you will. So is there any opportunity to have whether it's study groups or not I wouldn't say focus group, but like a study group where there's time for individuals to come together, whether it's virtually or in person, so that they can, kind of prepare?
We've done this in the past for praxis, so I don't see why we couldn't do this now. Nancy touched on this earlier, that she was working to identify teachers in the district to support this quote unquote curriculum, for lack of a better word, to support them. So essentially, like a cohort can be created where they're learning and training together so that they can pass the test and they can use each other for study guides, for study partners. Again, we've done this in the past to support non-certified staff when we were doing praxis. So I'm assuming that a similar effort can can happen this time for this particular exam.
And that would be a good thing. Also, don't forget that there are folks in the community. You have a great number of retired individuals who would probably like to come back and give back, if you will, to Hartford Public Schools, in perhaps in that way of mentoring and tutoring and helping out with these exams, these practice exams. That's all.
Thank you. Did other board members have any questions? I don't see any. I see Mr. Walker, but please let us keep in mind as board members, we're working with a smaller talent management department and we're asking them to do more. I just keep that in mind. Great ideas, but we know the cuts that happen there. Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Chair, and I'll try to be succinct. I had two questions. One, as it relates to recruitment and retention, and then one about DSAP. And so I'm hoping this is the appropriate time to ask those two questions because it's somehow around the hiring recruitment arena. So let me congratulate the recruitment efforts. And it does feel like we've had good success in the recruitment area in the last couple of years. As I've talked to teachers, I've tried to investigate where they're falling in this area. And the one comment I guess I'm going to feed back to you is, as we've elevated everyone's salary, there seems to be maybe a teacher or two who feel like they've fallen through the crack, where new teachers are coming in at the same salary that it took them some years to get to. And I totally understand, because of the contract, we can't fix that immediately. I guess elevating the question is, does OTM have awareness occasionally that recruitment efforts, while successful, may leave existing teachers feeling like they're not always seen in terms of all these advances in salary and bonuses and stuff, and maybe what initiatives are you guys percolating and thinking about doing in that particular area? Because I do think it has a bit of a retention issue. The reason I'm saying it, because as I was listening to it, I began to understand the motivation of some people, not all, but some people, to occasionally leave and almost come back with the idea that, ooh, maybe I'll get a bonus if I come back. And that just seemed kind of crazy that a person would have that kind of thinking going on. The other one is with, and I'll stop there on that to see maybe what your reflections have been about recruitment, and how feedback you got from existing teachers in terms of some of their feelings about that.
Sure. Yes. I mean, I think over the summer, I personally, and I know I've been hearing it from other folks on my team, I've gotten calls specifically from our special education teachers, right? Because the change in structure of our wages and step for teachers specifically, they did feel a little bit slighted, right? That they've been here in the district, they've been working really hard, they've been doing the work, and just to have new teachers have higher salaries than them. And so currently, we are working with the union to address those concerns, and we're hoping to have some sort of communication, maybe not for all teachers, but to address some of those concerns for teachers in shortage areas. So more to come on that.
Thank you. And Chair, I have a second question, but I appreciate Executive Director Nieves for that response, because I think where I heard that rub too was in that special ed area. So I'm glad you've heard it and that you guys are at least aware of it. Because I didn't see an easy fix, but I'm glad that right people are at least aware and doing something around that issue.
Yes, we are.
The second thing is about DSAP, and this is more of me needing more education about process. And so I've heard some stuff about it. And so I'll just offer the question this meeting, and if it can't be totally addressed here, we can take some stuff offline. But as I understood DSAP, people in a DSAP, when they have like 12 credits or something, they have some start on their journey towards, their certification journey, and that they're required to get 9 credits a year and whatnot. And so when I kind of did the math, I said, okay, fine. That means a person maybe gets a year or two of DSAP. And then, of course, I hear stuff when something goes not the way someone expected. So someone didn't get extended for an additional year, let's say a 3rd year. And, well, that's totally okay. I guess the only point was, is it a district prerogative or a state prerogative? Because it's certainly the district's right to grant or not grant it. The thing that to me wasn't totally clear is occasionally you hear that, oh, the state doesn't do it, but then occasionally a person talk to the state, and the state's like, no, they'd be okay with the renewal. So is that renewal thing a district decision as to whether they renew someone's DSAP, or is there some kind of state guidance on that that drives that decision? So let me just leave it there, because this is more of a process question and not necessarily a right or wrong thing.
Yeah, this is it's a little complex. It's both. I mean, we as a district would have to support someone with a DSAP application, meaning like we would have to sign for it, disclose information that the state needs as to why we need the DSAP for this teacher. Additionally, but it's twofold. The State Department of Education also has their guidelines. So even if we wanted to support someone in a DSAP, the state might have said, this is your last DSAP, this is the 4th one, and if you don't get, X, Y, and Z done, then that's it. But it varies, but it's both. That's what I would say.
So quick follow-up. So am I doing the math? Is it customary that people would get like a couple or 3, or is there, what feels customary from a district's perspective on this topic?
Sure. I mean, I've seen folks finish whatever they need to finish within 2 to 3 DSAPs. I've seen 3 is probably common.
Okay.
I don't have actual numbers,
Okay.
but from signing them off myself, I see the reissuance requests.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have other questions, we could absolutely take it offline too.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's good for now, because I realize it's totally more of a process education for me, but I realize that thank you for giving that. I really just realized that as a board member, there's just certain things I need to just understand to know what's reasonable, not reasonable. And you've kind of cleared up what seems reasonable as we've kind of shared in this conversation.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. So I will mention Board Member Tatum mentioned in the chat around collaborating with Peer Educator Union. So that might be an opportunity, absolutely. And we want to get through the presentation, Ms. Darcel Ledger. Are you able to keep it to question or follow up?
Yes, it's just a quick statement.
Your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I apologize. My hand.
No. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll be very quick. I just wanted to say that
for Board Member Walker. If you go to the Connecticut State Department of Education website, there is a whole slew of information with regards to DSAPs. How much do DSAP teachers make in Connecticut? How do you qualify? How many times can you DSAP in Connecticut? All of that. So I just, would encourage you or anyone who needs information about that. Just, it's on the website. Thank you.
A good resource there. Ms. Nieves?
Thank you. All right, so we'll continue to our exit trends. Let's get it started. All right, so the visual on your screen outlines our resignation trends for our teachers year to year from 2020, 2021 through this last summer. I believe that 2020, 2021, those numbers are an anomaly, and I believe it was due to the COVID pandemic. But traditionally, we see a decline, or we're seeing a decline in resignations overall, especially from last year to this current year. And so one of the challenges that we tend to have, and as you can see, we break down the resignations to see the full scope of July 1st to September 1st, and then those in August, August 1st to September 1st. Where the district, it's very challenging to prepare sometimes when teachers are, resigning a week before school, the day of school, first day of school for kids. But this year we saw a trend downward, which is really great. And I think it also contributed to our success in having less vacancies. Here's another view at our attrition rate, specifically for teachers. As you can see in the, let me see, I need to move this. So overall, we are doing well beyond above the reporting of the state. So the state reports 12.1% of their teachers identify as people of color. We've this last school year, we've remained steady at 30%. And so that's been pretty consistent for the last couple of years. All right, switching gears. Over the last few years, we've administered intent to return surveys to anticipate our staffing needs and to understand our current state of our teaching talent in our district. We received a little under 1,000 teacher responses. About 84% of teachers wanted to remain in the district. Those considering resignations made mentions of the reasons for considering leaving the district. You can see that the breakdown a little bit on the right-hand side, and the top three were around climate, school leadership, and the lack of feeling valued. You'll see in this chart that of those teachers, so under the green column, those teachers who considered remaining in the district, about 60% reported that they received feedback. About 45% were encouraged to continue teaching, and 40% liked being recognized. So teachers, what this is informing the district is teachers want to be engaged for those who, wanted to stay. So on this slide, you'll see the most meaningful action of their supervisor by teachers. And so that would be, again, receiving feedback, And the same for those who were actually looking to resign or not come back. That was an important action from their supervisor that they were looking for. Our exit survey is not required but optional. Therefore, our rates and potential findings remain unreliable. There's a 32% rate, and with that information, some of the key findings align with our intent to return survey, which is the dissatisfaction of climate, not feeling valued, or leadership. So even though we had a really good recruitment year for our special education teachers, we're still looking at ways to fill in the gap of our 20 vacancies. And so looking at funds to maybe provide scholarships for cross endorsement of our current teachers, that would be one way. Specifically with speech and language pathologists, that's, a shortage may persistent nationwide, and it's, driven by the disparity of increase in demand and limited professionals in that field. I've been having conversations with our Dr. Hoffman to revamp or create a leadership role for one of our SLPs current in the district, so they could be a clinical supervisor. Most, if not all, education or certification requirements for a speech and language pathologist requires clinical work. And so that lead teacher would be the clinical supervisor. And so hoping that that would be a pipeline work as well. And then retention, based on the information that we see, we want to keep our teachers here in Hartford. And so to that extent, I'll provide some information on what we're going to be doing or have been doing in the Office of Talent Management to address some of those retention challenges. So specifically with our district strategic priorities, specifically priority 3 objectives around skilled and diverse teams, which focuses on sustaining a school and district of culture, respect, warmth, and welcome, streamlining our hiring processes and diverse recruitment pathways, incentives to attract, retain, and support our educators. As the leader of OTM specifically, OTM will work on its onboarding experience, not only in our own department, but to build expectations for district leaders district-wide. In the last year, OTM as a department has worked on customer service and onboarding expectations through various workshops throughout the year. We implemented surveys in the respective areas of focus, and we ultimately, our ultimate goal was and it still is to improve quality and timeliness of our customer service experience for our staff members. While the surveys are optional, we received feedback to continuously improve overall satisfaction with our office. Number 2, retention committee. In February 2025, we assembled a cross-functional team of district personnel, school leaders, and educators to assess current retention practices and areas for improvement. After conducting a thorough review of the data, the team identified key factors that are impacting retention. Some of them were around onboarding, professional development, orientation, just to name a few. Between June and August, we worked with teaching and learning, that department, to fine-tune a 90-day onboarding plan and chose pilot schools and design an implementation plan. We paused this for a small short time to ensure that we are realigned with the updated strategic operating plan. So we will continue our meetings at the end of this month to continue that work. Number 3, culture and climate visit procedure. So Hartford Public Schools is committed to ensuring that staff are greeted by a welcoming culture and nurturing climate. To do this, OTM would like to conduct culture and climate visits to schools meeting at least a criteria that we would develop. One of them being schools with concerning trends indicating a sudden shift in retention or school climate and culture. And basically the summary of this procedure would be we would visit a school, we would be the facilitator, creating a space for open and honest conversations with the staff. The typical culture and climate visit follows an agenda and activity to have open discussion. At the end of the visit, we will compile the staff responses and identify key themes in each of the buckets. And then we will present to our district leadership team the findings. And then from that point on, we'll meet with that team and create actionable items that will be selected as next steps. At that time, we would like to go to the school and meet with school leadership to provide an input on those the next steps, and then have conversations about developing SMART goals for it to increase climate. At the end of this, we will continue to monitor the schools to see how they're doing, and then we'll do a 1-year review, data review at the 1-year mark to measure success shown by increased staff satisfaction or increased retention and lower vacancy rates. As mentioned earlier, Derek talked a little bit about exploring a test site for staff and students here in Hartford Public Schools for the para assessment. So I think that's a great opportunity for us to build that. And additionally, lastly, we recognize that we have incredible educators and staff members in the district, and we need to celebrate them. So we're exploring an employee recognition program to recognize employees for their hard work and achievements to boost motivation and engagement. This also creates a positive and appreciative work environment and enhancing morale and culture. And with that, I'm going to steal a page from Dr. Townsell's book and say, I'll park my bus here. So if you have any questions.
Oh, that's cute. I see Ms. Darius Ledger.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say, I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for, I'm seeing innovation. I'm seeing, the desire for, recognition of, of staff and, wanting to, taking the necessary steps to going in the right direction to to change that morale. And I'm very excited. I wanted to say that.
Thank you. It's important work.
Very. Mr. Tatum.
Thank you, Chair. Likewise, I think don't have a question right now, just would like to echo the appreciation for the team and specifically for presenting on the exit survey data or the intent to return survey data. I know that I asked for that specifically last year, and I'm glad to see that is part of the practice and hope that it'll continue going forward. I think that's the kind of thing that that might be met by some staff with a little bit of mistrust or lack of faith at the beginning. But I hope that as it becomes more part of the culture, it helps shift away from some of those later in the year last minute resignations. I'm glad to see that that number did drop as well this year. And the last thing that I'll say is along those lines, I do think that the district has done a better job in recent years and could do more in correcting some misinformation about how the timing of one's announcement of resignation affects their benefits. I know that many people have a perception that if they announce their resignation early, they'll lose their health insurance sooner, which my understanding is not the case. So more efforts at correcting that misinformation and reestablishing that trust, I think will go a long way toward reducing resignations to begin with, and then when people are choosing to resign, as is their right and inevitable in some ways, doing so with as little negative impact on the district as possible. I think everything that you presented here today after the first round of questions sounds to me like a step in the right direction for that goal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum. So we have 3 other board members with questions. If we could limit it to 1 follow-up and then circle back, if possible, so we could get through everyone. So if you have more than 1 follow-up, then we'll just leave your hand raised so I know to keep you on the rotation. Mr. Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And that's actually a good recommendation. Number one, thank you for the presentation. It's a good presentation. It does appear positive momentum is occurring. My recommendation on the exit interviews is there were some great nuggets there, and I'd love for you to share it with the board as well. But our recommendation is really use that information, do something actionable with it, find something actionable out of that, and really promote the heck out of the fact that you're doing something with that data. Best way to get more of that data is to actually do something with it, and there looked to be something pretty actionable out of that data in terms of efforts that the OTM could do. I think that was the top of the list. I also want to say thanks. The quick response from Natalie on DSAP was very, very much appreciated, because I think the clarification I wanted to hear is what was the district's position on these things, and that really was clarified in terms of what was stated. So I will stop there at this point and yield the floor to someone else.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Ms. Fortune?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mine is a very quick question. I think I looked through the report, but I didn't hear it said. By the way, great presentation. Thank you. What is the current vacancy rate now? I know when I started on the board about 1.5 years ago, it was 10%. Clearly it's lower, so kudos for filling a lot of those positions. What is that actual percentage throughout the district now?
As a whole?
Yes.
I don't know if we have that right now, but we can get that to you.
Okay, thanks.
Just as a follow-up for teachers specifically, certified teachers. Correct?
For the
Correct.
entire, oh, you're just specific to teachers? If we could just get it for just vacancies, all vacancies, and put them in categories, I think that'll help us.
Okay, will do.
Thank you. Board Member Wilson?
Thank you, Chair. My question is really quick. Maybe I missed it. I didn't hear anything about teachers, recruitment of teachers from like the Caribbean. I know we had a program surrounding that. Is there anyone that can speak to whether that program still exists? And if we are actively still recruiting through that program? And maybe speak to some of the success of it, or maybe some of the hurdles that that program may have faced.
I'm gonna tag Nancy on this.
Yeah, we do have the Caribbean Connection program. It's a program that we had put in place a few years back. We had one cohort of teachers who came from the West Indies, Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, one from Brazil, and one other country. I'm sorry, I can't think off the top of my head.
Dominican Republic.
Yes, thank you. So we do have teachers from the Caribbean Connection program who are still teaching in our district across different areas such as math, sciences, bilingual education, world language, and elementary. And they are in their third year of the Visiting International Teachers Permit, which is something, it's a cultural exchange program actually between the United States and other countries where teachers come to our country. We've had teachers before from India, and it's supposed to be a cultural exchange where the intent is that the teachers come here, teach, share their culture and their knowledge from where they came from with our students, and also learn from our students and faculty here in Hartford Public Schools, and then take that knowledge back to their home country where they'll be teachers again. And so the idea is that hopefully someday we'll be sending some of our teachers over there to their countries as well and create that cultural exchange over time that will just keep going. But we have only had one cohort of teachers, and right now we don't have the funding to support additional teachers with their J1 visas and such.
Okay, do we have any concern with the current climate, with the current teachers that we do have with their status?
I don't know if Connie wants to chime in on that, but as long as they're here in this country, we are pretty, from what we've been told, that they should be safe. It's if they do exit the country, say if they go back home to visit their family, there is concern about if they would have trouble coming back in. So that's just something that we have recently learned from some of our legal advisors on that, just so that way we could be understanding of what's happening with a lot of these changes.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands. Was that another pause in your presentation, Ms. Nieves?
That was all.
That was all of it?
Yep.
Okay. Board members, any last burning question that you really thought about asking, but you didn't? Here's your opportunity.
Sorry, I'm trying to raise my hand and I just couldn't find the button quickly enough.
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
Okay, thank you. So, first I will say thank you so much for the work in filling a lot of those vacancies. I feel like I've been hard on this team because I felt like, at least anecdotally, it seems like just the response time to people who apply and just the process requiring a different app than most other employers to fill out applications just seemed like it just made the job harder to fill those vacancies. So I'm really, really encouraged and thrilled to see that we fill so many vacancies. My question that I don't think you have the answers to at this time, as you report back the total percentages, I'd be curious to know what you attribute that success to. Is it that we've renegotiated the contracts and now we're paying more, so we're able to attract more people? Is it that we've been more responsive with our with response time when people apply, so we're able to get people in the door before they accept another offer? I'd just be curious to know why we've done so well when, at least my perception coming in, is that we've been plagued by large vacancies for a long period of time, and we just kind of overcame that in such a short period of time, relatively over the past summer. So I'd be curious to know why that is, so we can learn from it.
Yes, I mean, I don't have specific data on this, but what I can say, just being in the front lines with my team and recruiting and actually being on offer calls, what has hurt us in the past has been our salaries. And so with the new contract eliminating the bottom 3 steps has really shaped or made specifically our shortage area teachers, if you're talking about special education, they would get a bonus, a $5,000 bonus sign-on incentive this year. And then they're starting at a higher salary than they would have a year ago. And so in the past, we've heard, I can't take that. New Britain is giving me 15,000 more or 10,000 more. And so it could be a variety of things, but I think salary is a strong driver.
That makes sense. People have to support their families and their salaries.
Absolutely.
Board Member Estrada Perez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my question, based on just the conversation that happened here, is do we have a list? I'm guessing it exists, right? But do we have a list of, in comparison to like our salaries, comparisons to other districts similarly in our area that we can speak to, and the why that is the case, right? Like, is it fun? Is it the size of the district? Is it the fact, like, what is the why behind it? But if we ultimately, I think the better thing would be to know, and I think it exists somewhere, but it would be great to have it on hand, would be to figure out what are those salaries look like across the spectrum of similarly situated districts. And then this is a lot of work, but what is a little digging extra of that? Why is that? Is it more money? Is it state funding? Is it town funding? Like what is creating that difference? Is it size? Is it enrollment? I think that would be really helpful to know.
Sure, we can provide that. When we went into teacher negotiations last fall, that's the information that we were given to kind of level set us and like where we were as far as competitiveness with surrounding districts. And so that was, again, a driver of the salaries that we negotiated, the reasons why we landed on eliminating those first three step 3 through 3, 4, and 5. And then, so that was, to answer your question, yes, we could give you that information. But previously, I think what's hurt us is, and I don't know specifically which year, but there were some years where there was no step movement for teachers. And so that really made us where we potentially were competitive back then to not being competitive. Everybody else was getting, the steps, and we had no step movements for teachers. So that was a contributing factor as well.
I also just want to add that our multi-tiered approach, we have branding and marketing now. Our Represent campaign was super huge. You saw our campaign everywhere, represent Hartford, represent Hartford Public Schools, represent your community. That was such a strong campaign. It was on buses, it was on the radio. People knew that we had opportunities, and so we were out there also targeting more community events and being present in our community, attracting folks. We show up to these events and people are like, oh, you guys are hiring? We find custodians, we find food service workers, we find folks to fill all these positions, and they're so excited because they're looking for work, and we're there at these community events. And then also with this Indeed and Glassdoor, like having a brand presence that we did not have before, where CREC and other districts were advertising on our free page to pull folks from that were interested in Hartford to go and work in their districts. And so now we can do that. And so that's been really, really helpful as well. Just now that we have this new teacher contract and we have these great salaries, that we're able to promote them where people can actually see them and see, oh, Hartford is hiring. I want to work in my community. Yeah, I want to give back to where I came from. So that's been really, really helpful in getting people to be aware of what it is that we have to offer here in Hartford Public Schools to work with our amazing students. So
thanks, Natalie. Thank you for saying that, because I think that is also another contribution that we, strategically planned, knowing that we're going into a new season with new contracts. So we put all of our best efforts forward with our online presence. So that also, I strongly believe that we receive the investment, the return on investment on that.
That's amazing. And if I could just have a follow-up comment, just not a question, but a comment. I had a chance to see some of you all at this community events. In fact, I ran into some folks who were like, yeah, I just got hired to be a para. I just got this to do right from the community. And we know that a lot of the supporting staff members are Hartford residents. And so it's really amazing to see y'all in the community doing that and to see people excited about joining our school districts, because our school districts touches so many of our interconnected lives, right? Like our cousins or our nephews or kids and so it's so great to see you all there. And I think the back to school bash at the Dunkin' Donuts park is the last time I saw y'all, and that was when I ran into somebody who was like, I just got, like, so it was really good to see that and to see the excitement of folks because they are getting a new opportunity at a career, and it's an opportunity at a career that it is in their district, that it is in their town. And so it's really exciting. So just applauding you all for that work, because as an organizer, I know how important it is to be with community to figure out what it is that, how do you meet them where they are so that you can, and in addition to the fact that there was investments made to be able to make this happen. And I say that to say because of the importance of investments to make sure that we are able to do that properly. So I appreciate all of you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, we're gonna conclude our October 7th, 2025 workshop meeting, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Great work.
Good night.